New package, new unboxing video. Today I'm going to unbox the Analogue Sega ST. God damn it. This is a Mega SG. I have to stop and think about it. This is basically the follow-up to the Super Nt, which came out last year, which was basically an FPGA Super Nintendo, and then that was a follow-up to the Analogue Nt Mini, which was an FPGA version of Nintendo's 8-bit systems, the Famicom and NES. So I don't know if I really want to go into the FPGA thing. Let me give you the short version. If you're curious, you can watch other things on YouTube about FPGAs, but basically it is hardware simulation as opposed to software emulation. When you're playing things like the PlayStation Classic or even the Nintendo machines, the NES Classic or the Super NES Mini or whatever you want to call them, or the Retro Pi or pretty much any emulator on your computer, those are software emulators that basically pretend that they're hardware in code, like it's just software code. It's emulating the hardware chips. An FPGA is basically like, you can kind of think of it like a CDR, but for chips, for computer chips. Basically, you can reprogram that FPGA chip to be a whole system of chips, but they're all based in hardware. So it's a hardware simulation, a lot closer, but still not 100%, but still a lot closer to the original hardware than software emulation is. So anyway, rather than get too much into the FPGA part of this, I'm just gonna go ahead and open this sucker up. This actually came in pretty early. I was expecting it in April. I pre-ordered it back in October, and Analogue being Analogue, they always charge you right up front, so they charge your credit card immediately, and then 5 to 12 months later, depending on what you ordered and when you ordered it, you'll get your whatever it is that you ordered. My Neo Geo CMVS, man, that took almost a year. But anyway, ordered this back in October, and it is now March. I got it a couple of days ago. Funny thing is, like every other thing I've gotten from Analogue, and I've gotten the CMVS, the Nt Mini, the Super Nt, now the Mega SG. Okay, there it is. It takes like every other one except for this. It took like a week to get here, from the shipping confirmation email to actually getting it. This Analogue said on Monday through their Twitter that they were shipping them out early on March 25th. And if you look at this, it says, well, it's probably upside down now, but it shipped on March 25th, 2019 out of Rockwell, Texas. So I don't know if I got lucky and their shipping center happens to be here, or if they like pre-shipped them a long time ago and then gave FedEx the okay to ship it. But I got the next day, which was pretty crazy. Even though they always charge an exorbitant amount for their shipping. This one was like $20 some, but I remember the NT was like $30 some, and it took a week. So that's kind of nuts. But anyway, back to the product. It seems like, pretty well packaged. There's a kind of a lot of room in that box, but whatever, it'll be okay. This is the same like packing tape that they use for sending me those promo packages from Germany, from PCE Works. But anyway, that's what that reminds me of. Bubble wrap with brown shipping tape. Wow, that is a compact box. Here. So Analogue, there it is, Mega SG, 1080p HDMI FPGA unparalleled compatibility. Sure, probably the most compatible of all the clones, I guess. It's got the Mega SG system, the Analogue Master System game cartridge adapter. That's interesting. An HDMI cable, which is kind of nice, although I have a ton of HDMI cables. It's nice that they include one, a USB cable, and a USB power supply for USA and Japan. So it says, attention, update your firmware at support.analogue.co for Master System adapter support and other big updates. So maybe it doesn't support Master System right out of the gate. So here you'll see USA Mega SG. There are 4 colors this was available for pre-order. There was the USA, which mimics the Sega Genesis. There was the Euro, which mimics the Mega Drive in Europe. The Japanese one, JPN, which mimicked the Mega Drive in Japan. And then they had one that was just straight up white, which mimicked nothing, but looks pretty cool. So I went with the USA one because, like I said, I'm a Sega Genesis guy, so I wanted it to look like a Sega Genesis. But yeah, it's pretty minimalistic. It reminds me of Apple. You know, like hardly anything on there. In fact, that is it. There's just that one sticker, or this sticker too, I guess. So yes, rip this open. So this thing's $189.99. I went to the website earlier today. It's still available for pre-order. I guess they're shipping out the early ones for early pre-order dudes. And if you want one now, you have to wait, I think, 2 or 3 weeks for delivery, which isn't too bad. I also noticed that the Super NT is still available for order. All of them except for the Ghostly one, which is a limited edition one that came with a controller. That one sold out. I guess they had, you know, X number and that was it. And their transparent one, which it flat out says discontinued because I think people were unhappy with it. It wasn't like truly transparent. It was kind of, I don't know, fuzzy or wavy or something like that. But anyway, wow, okay. That is small. Smaller than I was expecting. I don't know why, because I own a Super NT. And yeah, I guess it's roughly the same size. It's got good heft. So, I don't know if you guys can see that. It's got kind of this checkerboard design. Designed in the USA/UK, made in China. Analogue.co. It's got the various symbols, I don't know. FCC, the CE, I guess that's European. But yeah, there's not a whole lot to it. 2 controller ports, and they're pretty standard, so you can use, well, not pretty standard, they are standard for Genesis. They're Atari style, actually. But yeah, you can use original Genesis controllers on this, or you can use the controllers that they recommend, which, well, not recommend, but that kind of pair up with this, which are the 8BitDo MG30s, which I did a video of. I'll put that link up there right about now and probably in the description below. But yeah, so you can use original controllers or wireless 8BitDo controllers, and it's nice. It's actually got a headphone jack, although it doesn't have a slider, which is, I guess, done in software. That's neat. The Super Nintendo didn't have one. Of course, that's because the original Sega Genesis had the Model 1 had a headphone jack, so that's really neat. Yeah, the color schemes, as you would expect for a Sega Genesis. Buttons feel good. Door feels good. On this side, you just got an SD slot, which will inevitably... there's a little piece of plastic or something stuck there. I'll get out later. Which will, I'm sure, inevitably lead to hacked firmware where you can load up your ROMs or whatever, because that's what happened to the NT. And the NT Mini was even cooler because you could load up other cores to reprogram the FPGA to be other 8-bit machines. So you could turn your NT Mini into a ColecoVision or a Game Boy Color or other 8-bit machines. So that was pretty neat. But anyway, I'm sure more to come on that. For now, it's just going to be used for updating your firmware. Okay, on the back, everything's pretty minimalistic on this. It's got your HDMI ports, so there's no analog out, which is funny because the company's named Analogue, but it's all digital. There's no analog out. They're promising, I think they promised it for the Super NT as well, and they never delivered a DAC, right, a digital to analog converter, which would basically allow you to use it on CRT televisions or hopefully RGB monitors like my BVM. But for now, you want to, I mean, if you want to use CRTs, you don't want this because purely digital, purely HDMI, you can do 720. I think you can even do 480p in the settings, but you know, most folks are probably going to do 1080p. Although if you have a 4K TV, 720p scales really nice. But anyway, I don't want to get too much into that. There's other videos for that. The other port here is for the power. It's a USB mini, which I hate because it's got that little thing inside that always breaks off. Although if you don't mess with it too much, it should be fine. But I know plenty of people that have had these not mini, micro USB ports where the little thing breaks off, or battery chargers. Anyway, nothing on this side except for Ta-da! It's got this expansion port or whatever. It goes into the expansion port, so you can actually hook it up to your Sega CD, which is neat. I have a Sega CD. I have a Model 1 and a Model 2. I've seen them hooked up, and it looks silly. I'll see if I can put a picture up here of somebody else's, because, I mean, I guess I could hook it up to mine, but why do the work again? Somebody else has probably done it. I'll give them credit. But anyway, you can hook that up to your original hardware. Sad part, though, is you cannot use the 32X, which was a question of mine. And the reason that you can't is because the 32X required like an analog out to pass through the 32X. And because this is all digital and there's no digital to analog converter, there's really no way to play 32X games. Although, oh, it's got to be under here. It does play Master System games with the converter adapter. Oh, this. Okay, so this is for your Sega CD. It's basically like a crappy mouse pad. And I say crappy mouse pad. It's probably fine for what it is, which is the spacer for the Sega CD. Basically, this is too low when you hook it up to the Sega CD, so it needs a little kind of bump in height to match up the port to the expansion bay here. But this feels like one of those like cloth pads, except for the top isn't cloth. It's like, I don't know, rubbery, I guess, which makes sense. I like that actually better. You know what? Because cloth gets dirty and dusty and attracts dust. It's hard to get out, and rubber you can just wipe clean, no big deal. So, and it's grippy. It's very grippy, so that's nice. What is this? Instructions. Do we really need instructions? Welcome to Analogue. Analogue, celebrate and explore the history of video games with the respect it deserves. Should I read this? Oh, what the hell? It's kind of short. I don't know if you guys can see that. Congratulations on becoming an Analogue Mega SG owner. We set out to design the definitive way to explore Sega's 16-bit and 8-bit era. A reimagining of the underdog that led a 16-bit revolution, engineered with an FPGA, no emulation, 1080p, zero lag, total accuracy. Mega SG is not a plug-and-play toy, compatible with the 2,180 plus Sega Genesis, Mega Drive, and Master System game cartridge library. Explore and relive one of the greatest video game systems of all time with no compromises. Start playing your Mega SG, insert the USB cable into the USB power input, plug it into a power outlet. That makes sense. Plug your HDMI cable into your television, power the system on by pressing the power button with or without a game cartridge inserted. Because like the Super Nt and the Nt Mini, it's got its own menu system, and again, you can watch other videos for that. Clean your game cartridges. If you are experiencing issues with any cartridges, make sure they are squeaky clean. 99.9% of all issues are game cartridge related due to dirty cartridge pins. Handling and care. Do not insert dirty cartridges into your Mega SG. Only use a 5-volt, 2-amp USB power supply, or your Mega SG may not function correctly. User guide. For the complete Mega SG user guide, please visit support.analogue.co. Support in fact for customer support. In fact, please visit the same thing, support.analogue.co. That may be very difficult to see depending on the light. It's basically like a blue outline of it on black background. Any controller, press down and start to access in-game menu. So there's the SG30, MG30, I can't even remember now. I did a video of it like last week. Master System adapter and spacer for the Sega CD. Okay, cool. So, let's look at this. This is the interesting part for me. It's neat, because I've seen a picture of this. Ow, damn. Shouldn't have done that. No blood? No blood, I'm all right. Yeah, it's basically just a little converter for your Master System game cartridges. So the Master System games used to be able to be played with a power converter, which basically was a Master System that allowed you to play through your Sega Genesis, and that was to basically have a bullet point where it could say, hey, if you upgrade to the Sega Genesis, you can play all your Master System library games. In effect, making the library of games playable on the original Genesis much larger than you would normally if it would just, or normally have if you're just playing Genesis games. But in any case, if you do have Master System games, and I do, you can just plug that right in there, and you can see it just basically just converts the pins to different ones, and then the internal FPGA hardware will handle that, and yeah, you can play your Master System games, so that's pretty cool. And the cables that you see here are pretty standard, just standard micro USB for power. Do these have logos on them? Yes, they do. So, let me see this. There's an Analogue logo. See that right there. That's neat. I always like personalized logos. I never got my Neo Geo HDMI cable for my Neo Geo Mini. I need to do that at some point. They're not even that expensive. But yeah, that's neat. Does this have it? I don't think this one. The Super Nt I think had the same thing. Yeah, it does actually. It says, gosh. It says Analogue. Printed there. It doesn't have the logo, but it, see that? It does have the word Analogue there. Hope that comes out in the video. And then the power brick thing that I don't think had the Analogue logo, but I remember the one for the Super Nt kind of being a silky finish. Let's see. This is the same. It looks like it's going to be the same. Oh, it is, and it does have the Analogue logo. I don't remember the Super Nt one having it, but shoot, maybe it did. I have a bad memory. So there's that, and that's about it. So this is universal for Japanese and American style outlets. If you're in Europe, I don't know. I guess you tell them you're in Europe and they ship you the European version, I guess. Not sure, but I don't know. Works for me. Non-polarized, so it fits either way. So that's nice. Well, that's pretty much it for the unboxing. Let me show you guys the controller. This is the M30. That's what it is. This is the 2.4 gigahertz one. If you go to Analogue's site and you follow the link to buy the controller, you get pointed to this one, which is nice because this is 25 bucks. And if you're just going to use it for your Genesis or your Mega SG, this is great. You can get one for $25. It comes with the receiver and the controller, as opposed to just, if you go to Amazon and you just search for the M30, you'll find also the Bluetooth version of this. And I go into all this on the M30 video, which I think I linked to before, but if I didn't, I'll do it now, but I probably did before. Or just check the description below, it'll be there. And the Bluetooth version is 30 bucks, but it doesn't come with a receiver. If you want the Bluetooth receiver for the Genesis, it's another 20. So you're talking about 50 bucks if you want the Bluetooth version of this, or if you just want the Genesis one. I mean, if you just want it to work on the Genesis, the advantage of the Bluetooth one is it works on anything that's Bluetooth, pretty much. But if you want to work only on the Genesis, this is a far better deal. You can get 2 of these for 50 bucks, and yeah, you're good to go for all your Street Fighter needs and anything else. So that fits right in there. Looks really neat. It, you know, it was basically, well, this button is blue, which I think is Japanese. You know, if it was American, it would be probably white or gray or something. But, ooh, it's got a charge. I forgot I had charged them. But anyway, yeah, that fits right with that. Let me see real quick. Let me try a Sega Genesis cartridge and a Master System cartridge. Be right back. All right, so I brought a few different things to try. First, let's try just a standard old, I'm gonna try a couple of Genesis games. This is a standard old, you know, original style checkerboard Genesis game, kind of first generation. This is Outrun 2019. I bought this recently to play in 2019 because, I don't know, thought it would be fun. But all the cartridges should fit. That fits really well, actually. Got a good, yeah, it's got a good fit in there. The cartridge slot's a little bit bigger, I think, because it's allowing for different regions and different types of cartridges. But yeah, it's snug, but not too snug, so that fits well. This one's Cosmic Spacehead. This is a Codemasters cartridge, and this has got a little funky look to it, but it still should work fine because it works in a standard Genesis. And yep, sure enough, that one actually looks kind of cool. Yeah, looks and feels like it's fine. And then, just for the heck of it, I have my EverDrive, which again is in a standard Sega Genesis shell, so of course that works fine. And I've read already that EverDrive doesn't have any problems. What I'm not sure about is the PowerBase Mini. So this is basically, it's a PowerBase converter, but it's in a cartridge shape as opposed to the thing that used to fit on top of the Sega Genesis. Obviously, that's not going to work. And frankly, you don't need this because it literally comes with the thing that makes this happen, right? So I'm just, I'm curious to see if this would work. Although again, there's absolutely no reason whatsoever that you would ever need the PowerBase Mini. If you have a regular Sega Genesis, sure. It does have, which is kind of neat, is it has the pause button here. Just like the original Master System, it had a pause button on the console, not on the controller. If you're using this, you should be able to pause with the button here. Anyway, let's try Double Dragon. This is a Sega Master System game, and let's see how easily it goes in and out of that converter. Okay, not too bad. Feels good. Actually, it looks really nice too. Really dig this clear look to it. I don't know. I guess I could see why they did clear, because they included it with all systems. And if they were black, the people that got the white system would be upset. And I guess really those are the only people, because all the other ones are black. They just have different accents. But anyway, black one would have been okay too. So, ooh, this is a hard plastic. Like, just by looking at it, you can kind of tell what it's made out of. It looks like it would crack pretty easily. So my guess is, I don't want to put too much stress on it. You're probably gonna have to be pretty careful with this. If I remember correctly, this was kind of a pain to put on this. Well, maybe not. And this looks sort of, so I bet this works, but again, totally pointless. And yeah, this is a little tougher, but anyway, yeah, that is the Analogue Mega SG. I still have to think about it. I anticipate good things from it. I'll give it a shot before I post this video. I probably won't post any gameplay because there are so many videos out there already. People who were getting these like before the release date, and the embargo released on the day that they shipped them. So there's a lot of really good quality reviews, full reviews of the system. I would recommend the My Life in Gaming one. That one's very technical and goes over a lot of the different settings that you should be able to modify for your, suit your needs for each individual game, because some games look better in certain modes than others, and the whole interface is super customizable. The output is customizable and everything, the video output, the audio output. So check out that My Life in Gaming video for the Mega SG. Metal Jesus Rocks has one. That one's, he's got his own flair to it. And then, who else I saw had one? GameSack. They had a pretty one too. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. This is the, I always have trouble, Analogue Mega SG. All right, guys, thanks for watching.